What is up, guys? We are doing a sit-down video today, which really I only do wrap-ups as sit-down videos. I think I did the 5-star video a little while ago, but yeah, here we are. And I've also never done a tier ranking video before, but I finally figured out that I actually do have a free screen recorder on my laptop. Therefore, I can do a tier ranking video. And the one that I decided to do, I don't even know if anyone's ever done it before, but this sounded really fun for me. I'm gonna be tier ranking every single series that I've ever read. Also, I'm really sorry about the reflection in my glasses. Hopefully it's not bothering you. But anyways, that being said, these are series that I have read since I got back into reading in 2020. So a lot of these you've probably never heard me talk about, but they're series that I've completed like all the way, or up to what was the last book like released. The only series on here that I haven't completed to that degree is ACOTAR, but I went ahead and put it on here because I read the original trilogy and A Court of Frost and Starlight. I just haven't read A Court of Silver Flames. Alright, all that being said, let's take a look at what my tiers are. Alright, okay, so the first one is, or I guess we'll start at the bottom. Okay, the first one is honestly a waste of time. I would have been better off not reading that series. The second one is, wait, I read these? These are books that I literally just forgot that I read them, like, until I had to go through and look and see which series I'd read. Or either I don't remember a single thing that happened. Enjoyable is, I remember enjoying it when I read it. I don't really think about it now. I'm in Love is like 4 to 4.5 star series. Like, I really, really loved these characters and I would go through it again with them. Like, I would read more books of these characters. And the top one is, these books are etched into my soul. I think about these books on a daily or a weekly basis. I would read a million more books in this series. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. The first one on here is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I did like ACOTAR, but I'm not obsessed with it like I feel like everyone else is. And I don't know if I'm going to read A Court of Silver Flames, but if there were more books, because I've also gotten the big spoiler from A Court of Silver Flames, so I may not read it. So I don't know if I'd read more books about these characters. Okay, I take that back. If there were more told in Feyre's perspective, I would read about it. So we're going to put that in I Am in Love. The second one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The first book was amazing. The second book was good, and then the third book I didn't really like. I'd read more books like the first book, but I don't think I would read more books if they continued the way that they were going, so we're gonna put that in enjoyable. Beautiful Creatures. See, this series I read in like 2020 because I'd watched the movie, and so I asked for like the box set for Christmas, and I remember it, but I don't remember a lot of it, and it's also very like witchy, which I don't really read a lot anymore. But I don't think it was a waste of time. Okay, we're just gonna put that in enjoyable, because I did enjoy my time reading it. Caraval, I don't remember a single thing that happens in this series. I really want to reread it. I'm sure I would love it if I read it now, but I don't remember a thing. I honestly don't. Blood Rose Rebellion by Catherine something or other. This is like a Regency era, like late 1800s, early 1900s series. I'm pretty sure it's set in England, and I'm pretty sure it's fantasy. Don't remember a single thing about it. I also remember the third book being like a drag. Again, I read this in like 2020. So we're gonna say that was a waste of time. Divergent. See, Divergent is hard because the first book was like incredible, and then the second two were like slower. See, I really enjoyed the first book though. Okay, we're gonna put that in enjoyable because that's the exact same thing that I said about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken is another series that I read in 2020 because I watched the movie. and there is a movie on it, like if you don't want to read the book, but it's a dystopian series where there's this disease that the kids are infected with, and you get one of like 5 levels. The main character in it can like read minds and manipulate minds, and then like below that is like fire, and then electricity, and then teleportation, and then you're just really smart. I would read more books about those characters though. I remember really enjoying that series. I don't remember a lot of it, but I know that I would read more books about them. The Ember and the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This is another series that I read in 2020, and I loved this series when I read it, but I don't know if I would love it now. I remember I didn't like the last book in that series as much, so we're gonna put that in enjoyable. It's like a fantasy series that's set in the desert, so kind of like Dance of Thieves, but it's more paranormal, I think is the correct term to describe it. Flame in the Mist by Renee something. Waste my time. Don't remember anything about it. The Betrothed by Kiera Cass. Now, I remember I rated the first book like 4.5 stars and the second book 5 stars. I don't agree with that. I would not read those books now, but I don't know if it was a waste of my time. I don't know. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, so we're gonna put it up there. The Everneath. The Everneath is a Persephone and Hades, I think, retelling. Don't remember anything about it. I mean, it's by Brody Ashton. If you're really interested in like Greek stuff and like paranormal, like it takes place in, I think the series literally takes place in hell. If that sounds interesting to you, I mean, go for it, but that's just not my thing. So, but I did enjoy reading it when I did read it. I just don't remember anything, like, at all. Divine Rivals. The first book was so good, and then the second book, but I would read more about those characters. The Romance of Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross was so good. And I loved the app. I would read more books about those characters. I would say I am in love with that series. The Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. Fantasy, Enemies to Lovers. Takes place in a freaking desert. And oh my gosh, I mean, it's so good. It's so good. I think about it literally every day. Like, that series was impeccable. Impeccable. Literally. Like, so amazing. Half Bad is another series about witches that I read in like 2020. Yeah, I read it in 2020 because I remember like the library books being quarantined. So yes, I read that in 2020. I don't remember anything about it, but I remember enjoying it when I was reading it. But see, I would never read it now. I don't remember anything, but I didn't hate those books. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I know that this isn't like a series like the other books on here are, but there is a third book coming out, and they all center around Millie, as far as I know. And I really did love these 2 books. I liked the first one a lot better. I think those were really good thrillers, honestly. I was in love with the books while I was reading them. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Again, this is a series I read in like 2020. I loved the movies. And the books they were okay. They were enjoyable. Breakwater by someone. Waste of my time. It's a series about mermaids. That's all I know. I mean, it's probably a lot younger adult than most of the young adult things on here. Okay. If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. These characters are etched into my soul. Everyone who's on this channel knows that by now. The Hush Hush Saga by Becca Fitzpatrick it's like Twilight, but it's with a demon instead of a werewolf and a vampire. That's what I've heard. I remember really loving these books when I read them, and I don't think I would read them now, but I did really enjoy them. But I don't know, I've considered rereading them, but I don't know if I would. They also take place in Maine, and I really like books that take place in Maine for no reason, but yeah. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This might surprise some people, because I really, really love this series, but I feel like it's going downhill. The original trilogy, I think I would put it up here, but all of it counting, I think I would just have to put it in I Am in Love, because I absolutely love those characters, but a lot of it's like hard for me to remember, and I would read more books about those characters. I just don't like think about it all that often. Same with Legend by Marie Lu. I loved these books when I read them, and I don't think these would have been 5-star reads had I been rating books when I read the Legend series. I did like it more than Divergent, so we're gonna put that in I Am in Love as well. This series, I can't remember who it's by. It's called Matched, and it's Matched, Crossed, and Reached. I remember what happened in it, but I also remember being kind of bored. We're gonna put it in a waste of my time, and I feel like that's a little harsh. I should have put a tier in between like enjoyable and wait I read these, because I think that's a little bit harsh for that series, because I did like it. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, etched into my soul. Favorite series. Favorite series. Those characters are amazing. I want to be their friends. I want to be friends with all of them. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Also etched into my soul. I want to live in that world. I think that's the only fantasy world that I would actually survive in. Jax is incredible. Love him. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I just finished this book yesterday, so that means that I have finished the series now. And every single character in that series I was either in love with or I wanted to be their best friend. Those were just the sweetest, most wholesome people I'd ever read about in my entire life. I don't think I will ever stop thinking about any of those books. The Selection by Kiera Cass. The original trilogy was really good. I think the 2 books following that were about her daughter, because I read those 2, I don't think those were as good. But if we got more books from like America and Maven's perspective, I would read them. It was really good. Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. See, here's the thing, is I want to put it in the top tier, but I know that the last few books felt really repetitive. And the last book I actually rated like a 3-star. So if we got more books from Juliet and You Know Who's perspective, I'm in love. Because those 2 characters are etched into my soul. Their romance was perfect. But it just took us a long time to get there, and the conflicts were interesting. The Similars by Rebecca Hanover. This is a series that takes place, it's a duology that takes place at a boarding school, and it's about these like 4 students who are cloned. It has to do with the clones. So like there are 4 students who are really prestigious, and those students are cloned, and then stuff starts like happening. I don't remember a lot about it, but I know that I would read more books about these characters. These books would have also been like very 4.5, 5-star books had I been writing books at the time that I read them, because I read The Similars and The Pretenders in 2022. The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han felt like brain rot. I'm not ashamed to say that I did enjoy that series, and I've thought about going back and rereading it just because it felt like summery brain rot, but I don't know. I wouldn't read more books about those characters because Belly is just infuriating. Timekeeper, I can't remember who this is by. This is a book about clock deities, basically. Like, there's this boy and he falls in love with like a clock god. I don't know how to describe that. Oh my gosh, okay, this is the best way to describe it. So like big clocks in the world, like Big Ben and different things. I think this one takes place in England, but like big clocks like Big Ben and different things, they have spirits and that are like the clock themselves. And there's a boy and he falls in love with one of them. I enjoyed it when I read it, but I don't think about it and I don't remember a lot of it. I would never read it now. Tithe by Holly Black. This is actually a trilogy by Holly Black that was released before The Cruel Prince, and it's so funny that I've read this series and I still have not picked up Cruel Prince, even though I'm pretty sure like that's like, I don't get book recommendations a lot from you guys, but when I do, I feel like you're recommending me The Cruel Prince. And it's really funny that I've read this series and I haven't read The Cruel Prince. Because this series kind of sucked. All I remember about this series is that they were shooting up pixie dust in the subways of New York City. It's described as an urban fairy tale. I'm pretty sure it's like an urban fever dream. Because I don't remember a lot of it, and what I do remember doesn't make sense. Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I feel like we all know that I thought that series was a waste of my time. I felt like it was for 12-year-olds, and I know that so many people love that series. I just felt like it was for 12-year-olds, and the social issues were like so heavy in it, and I don't know, I feel like I would have been better off not reading it. But Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Powerless was based off of Red Queen, and I loved Powerless. And I loved Red Queen. But would I read more books about those characters? I've read up to Broken Throne. I think there's another set of novellas that comes after Broken Throne. Because Broken Throne is a series of novellas that comes after Warstorm, if you don't know. And I've also read Cruel Crown that comes before it, before Red Queen. I'm gonna put it in enjoyable. Powerless, on the other hand, I didn't put Powerless on here because I haven't read Powerful yet, but Powerless, I would literally read anything about this, like literally anything about those characters. Loved those characters. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Do we even have to ask? I literally think about Violet and Xaden on like a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. I would die, honestly, if I went to their school. But I have a delusional fantasy that I would totally survive as a writer in that world. I would bond with a pretty cutthroat dragon. In my delusion, I would survive and be just as cutthroat as Violet is. It's not even the romance that I think about as much as I think about the perfection of the world and the magic. Because honestly, if you've read the second book, Violet and Xaden kind of suck in that book. But that's just my personal opinion. I care way more about the world. And if I were in that world, I would keep You-Know-Who from dying. And he would be my love interest. Okay? That's who I'm in love with. I'm not in love with Xaden. I'm in love with the other guy. Okay. Alright. That video did not take as long as I thought it would to film. I'm gonna go over my tiers really quick, just so that we know what I did, because I kind of blacked out and I just talked to the camera. So these books are etched into my soul. We have Dance of Thieves, If He Had Been With Me, The Naturals, Once Upon a Broken Heart, Part of Your World, and Fourth Wing. 100% agree with each of those. I literally think about all those characters way too much. I'm in Love. We have A Court of Thorns and Roses, The Darkest Minds, Divine Rivals. I'm gonna move Divine Rivals down here. So we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, The Darkest Minds, The Housemaid, The Inheritance Games, Legend, The Selection. I'm also gonna move the Selection down here. Shatter Me, and The Similars. Okay, you just saw the books that I moved. I don't need to tell you which ones I just moved, but yeah. Now I agree with this selection now. Enjoyable, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Beautiful Creatures, Divergent, Ember in the Ashes, The Betrothed, The Hunger Games, Hush Hush, The Selection, Divine Rivals, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and Red Queen. That's valid. That's understandable. We'll keep it there. Wait, I read these is Caraval, Everneath, Half Bad, Timekeeper, and Tithe. I really want to put Half Bad and Timekeeper at the bottom tier because I would just never read those books now. I didn't think that they were a waste of time when I read them. And I enjoyed them when I read them. I just purposefully have forgotten all of it. Honestly, a waste of time. We have Blood Rose Rebellion, Flame in the Mist, Breakwater, Matched, and Truly Devious. Don't give a crap about any of those series anymore. Alright, well, I'm sure that you are all tired of listening to me talk. If you enjoyed me tier ranking, I would love to tier rank all kinds of things. Now that I know how to tier rank, I want to make more of these videos. Please let me know if you want to see more tier ranking videos. Thank you so much. You are amazing and I love you. And just a reminder that I do have an Instagram. So if you have an Instagram, go and follow me. I post more on there than I do on here. And you probably will get bonus reels from me that don't make it to YouTube. Alright, that is all for today. I love you guys and I'm sure I will see you very soon. Goodbye.